Cool.
All right, 3, 2, 1. Now welcoming on our former teammate, Jake Jewell. We played with him for a few years in high school, and he has moved on to continue playing after high school and playing some college ball. So, Jake, welcome on. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good, guys. Thanks for having me on. Excited to chat a little bit.
Yeah, we're excited to have you on and catch up a little bit and hopefully get you some more fans by the end of this.
Yeah, that's what we're looking for, the Big Red brand right here.
Yeah. Well, let's just start out. We know you. We've known you since Little League, but why don't you go ahead and tell all the listeners, where you're from, kind of about your baseball career, your position, your passion for the game. We'll give you the floor for a little bit.
Cool. Sounds good to me. Like you guys said, we grew up together, small town, Duval, out here, Washington boys. Got to represent. Baseball is big for us. Our dads coach together. So, he's a little excited about the interview process and everything, but
yeah.
But yeah, so, obviously raised out here in Duval, went to Cedar Crest High School with you guys. From Cedar Crest, obviously I wanted to keep playing baseball. So I explored some of my options. Most of them were JUCO, NWACs. Played on the other side of the mountains, unlike Andrew, but played for Shoreline Community College up there in North Seattle. I was ended up there for 3 years. I ended up having a red shirt because I tore my labrum in my throwing shoulder.
Oh man.
So that was a bit of a tough one. Up to that point, I was an outfielder and a pitcher. And then going into my sophomore year, I decided, I was throwing pretty firm. Things were looking good. I did a really good year pitching. So I was like, let's just full send it. Let's give it all we got for pitching. And then before the season started, we blew out the labrum and we had surgery, about a month and a half later. And so, we got that med red, got my extra year at the junior college. I'd like to say it was good for my education, but my last year I was taking badminton and
Classic.
We had like 120 credits at a JUCO. Like what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, might as well.
Yeah, so that was tough though. Shoulder surgery really set me back. So obviously I took that whole year off. And then came back for my technical sophomore year at Shoreline. It's probably too soon. Like my arm still hurt all the time. And it was crazy. You go from throwing 87, 88 to 78 to 80 and your arm hurts all the time.
Man.
Let me load up on 5 ibuprofen and Tiger Balm just to hum this one in there at 81.
Yeah, man.
So, that was tough. It definitely was a flip. It went from, having all the schools that you could think of, hitting me up to either, give me an offer or see how I was going to do that year and keep tabs, keep in touch, to, well, now you throw 80, your arm kind of hurts, pretty much all those options are gone.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of a struggle. I actually ended up throwing 4 innings submarine my sophomore year.
Whoa.
Yeah, because I couldn't. It was like 78 from up top, and I was just like, I can't get people out like this.
Yeah.
So we dropped it down, and we ended up I had like 9 Ks in 4 innings down here.
Nice.
Whoa, that's awesome.
It was super tight. It was really fun, but all good things must come to an end. I ended up straining my tricep doing that, obviously, because I picked up submarine throwing 20 years into my life, having never done it before.
Right, yeah.
But yeah, it was a process, and then went back over the top. Just kind of spent that whole summer trying to get my arm healthy. I went down to the Palm Springs Collegiate League and played there for a summer. And I was kind of already talking to the school I ended up transferring to, which is the University of Antelope Valley in Lancaster, California. They're NAIA, so same like division as Andrew, but we're over on the West Coast. He's over there in Georgia.
Yeah, nice.
But yeah, so I, played out that summer there. Pretty up and down. My whole career's kind of been up and down since I got to college, just, mainly because of health.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's been a process. I ended up getting to a really good 4-year program. UAV, so relatively new. Their conference came into existence 5 years ago at the NAIA level. The baseball team, last year excluded because it was cut in half. The UAV has won the conference all 5 years of its existence.
Whoa.
Been in 5 years, been to the World Series once. And other than that, pretty much all playoff berths and regional appearances. I don't know if we quite have the studs that, Andrew is raving about, but we got a really talented team, really good program. So, it's good to be a part of it. And at least at the end of the day, even though I wasn't getting as many offers and things and looks as I originally was, it was really nice to just end up with a program that was really, just a good program in general. Because Shoreline, as much as I love the freedom there and, definitely teaches you how to grind, it's nice to have the structure of a winning program. I mean, you guys know we played at Cedar Crest where winning was everything all the time.
Yeah, it was the whole thing.
Yeah, otherwise you got an ear full of G-Bear, so.
Right.
Well,
but yeah, so it's good to be back. And then, I guess a little bit of good news is about a couple months into my time at UAV last year, right around November, my arm stopped hurting, was to throw, which was really cool because I spent that whole summer in Palm Springs just using ibuprofen and Tiger Balm, just trying to get through it. I'm like, is my arm ever going to get healthy, this and that? And then, it did. And then I just had to get over like a little mental block that was just, I was around like 82, 83 and just couldn't really push further. One day we had a bullpen. I went in to see our coaches the day before because I had another, tough outing in our scrimmages, and it was just frustrating. It's like fail. You got to, vent something.
right.
And so we talked about it, and, it's funny. And my coaches were kind of like, you need to become like a spot guy. If you're going to throw 80, 81, you got to just hit your spots and be like, get early ground balls. And like, I get that. And if that's where I was going to stay, yeah, if I was going to have any kind of success, but that's just not who I am. That's not who I was. And It's not how I've pitched my whole life. And I mean, a little bit of it isn't good because I've just been kind of like a kid that has a good arm, throws hard, and, good stuff. So I get outs.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, if I want to play as long as I want to play and do as well as I can, then I need everything 100%, everything healthy. I need my stuff, and then I can channel back in to, command, hitting my spots over, getting early contact. But it was right after that meeting, and I was kind of really frustrated. It was just like, I got compared to my roommate, Marcus Notaboom, who's an excellent pitcher. Dude's got some of the best command I've ever seen. He's doing driveline this summer, so his velo's going up before I, trash his velo here real quick. He was about 80, 82, so he was right around the same velo as me, dealing with my arm health issue and stuff. But kid's got the nastiest changeup I've ever seen. Every time he throws it, it drops, 2 feet down and a foot away from a lefty. So he can do it. He can sit there at 80, 82 and just be lights out nasty. I'm like, I don't, changeup's probably my worst pitch. Like, I got by with fastballs, cutters, and curveballs. I'm not just myself. I'm developing, but it's just basically my coaches told me like you got to be Marcus, and to me I'm like Big Red. BRJ is not Marcus. He's BRJ. So I got to be me. And lo and behold, my pitching coach the next day was like, for bullpen, or not next day, I think it was a couple days later, but bullpen, he was just get up there, crow hop, throw it as hard as you possibly can into the catcher. Like, I don't care where it goes. Like, first one, I'm like holding back a little because I don't want to just sail this thing into the back.
Yeah, right.
Backside of the dugout or the bullpen, excuse me. But he's like, no, like, dude, I don't care where it goes. Just throw it as hard as you possibly can. So I'm like, all right, like, whatever. And I just let it fly. Hits the fence in the back of the dugout. But, after a few, they start coming down. And then I throw my pen that day. I'm like 85, 86. And then get on the mound for scrimmage again, topped 87. And so it was just like, where did that come from? Like,
yeah,
and I've been grinding, rehab, everything, but it was that thing. I just couldn't get over that hump. Like, even though if my arm felt okay, I was still pushing the ball, throwing 82. I'd throw as hard as I can, it was 83. And then this day just flipped and got back up to throwing hard. And then still kind of struggling with command issues. But it was weird to go from, spending a year and a half, 2 years trying to learn how to pitch at 80 to then like, oh, hey, my velo's back, a little bit. So, I definitely struggle with command. I only ended up having, I think, 3 if not like 2.1 innings for our season. Granted, it was shortened, but it's just a little inconsistent. It's like, one day I'd look lights out, and then the next day it'd be all over the place. And the stuff was always there, but it was just command and falling behind. So I mean, I took advantage of a lot of the opportunities that I had with extra free time, from not necessarily throwing as much in games. Just started trying to put on muscle mass, explosiveness, and kind of learn how to pitch again with like a free, healthy arm. So after COVID ended last year, it was a little bit of a shock, obviously, but in the long run, it was one of those things where you can sit there and you can look at your circumstances and where you're at, and it's a tough situation. You're stuck at home. There's no gyms, there's no baseball, whatever, and you find something to do. We find the barn off of Novelty, Xavier Turner's dad's house with the basketball court and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just started going and working out there. And so, I mean, it's just finding little things. And so at the end of that, I think it was a really good opportunity for me to just get a full healthy arm. I mean, I got my eligibility back. So if this year goes well, I can come back, start my master's, and continue playing for at least one more year in college. But it's just been a great opportunity to get healthy and spend a whole summer throwing. I mean, my arm was feeling great all summer, and I was feeling really, really good going into fall and everything. And then of course, BRJ's in the gym too much, doing some dips, tweak something in my neck. So we got the MRI for a potential herniated disc coming up at the end of this week. But I'm positive. I think it's going to be fine. But anyway, talk your ear off with everything.
Oh man, that's good. Well, you've mentioned it a couple times, and I think we're both excited to hear about it, probably along with everybody else. But tell us about your brand.
Yeah, so honestly, it's arguably in the beginning stages still, because I'm not quite at your guys' level with the website, the cast, the blog, and all that stuff. I mean, you guys are killing it. But it's kind of something that started my freshman year at Shoreline. There's this guy, David Becker, who absolutely the hardest worker I've ever played with. Great dude, great human being. Dude was so strict on his schedule. He'd go to sleep at 8:30 every night and wake up at 4:30 in the morning, or 4 in the morning every day. We have 6 a.m. weights. Becker's there at 5 a.m. lifting already.
Dang.
So my freshman year at Shoreline, though, he actually gave me the nickname Big Red, because I don't know if you guys remember it, but I had that like bright red Mizuno outfielder's glove. Yeah. So Shoreline's green. I show up the first day of practice with that bright red glove. I'm just like, so guys, I got my beard, and he's like, "What's up, Big Red?" And I was like,
"Nice."
I'm like, all right, yeah, I don't know how I feel about it right now, but I ended up loving it, really going with it. And my podcast that I did a few years back, actually during my injury, because obviously I had a lot of free time. My sister worked to develop the Big Red logo, and we used it for my podcast, but ultimately I had like bigger dreams, bigger visions for it. Excuse me. My ultimate like goal is something similar to what you guys have, perhaps more geared towards like a YouTube channel. In the last couple of years, I've developed like greater passions for fitness and working out, and different things. So ultimately, I want to end up doing a combination of things. Definitely something Seahawks geared. Big Red brings you the Seahawks, and so that should be fun. Aiden Waite, catcher for Archbishop Murphy, he was in my grade. He actually played at me with Shoreline for a year, and so we've done some Hawk Talk podcasts, which they're just kind of fun, just to mess around, but they're pretty sweet. I'd like to continue doing something like that. And then the other aspect is I want to do a lot more fitness-based stuff and kind of develop the Big Red brand. We got, ideally it's going to be Big Red brand built different, and we're going to work from there in terms of merchandising, content, pre-workout reviews. I mean, it's like I said, it's a little beginning stages, but there's a lot of ideas and then different moving parts with people that I'd like to work with and like getting something going. And I mean, obviously, as it develops, I'd love to be back on with you guys or bring you on to whatever content I'm producing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So I mean, right now we got BRJ on TikTok. So we've been doing some pre-workout videos, just a little motivation, a little hype. I mean, if you wake up in the morning, you don't feel like getting out of bed. I mean, you can't be about your feelings. So you gotta turn on a BRJ TikTok and get that hype for that lift. It's gonna be a good day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it. I think that that's an awesome idea, and might as well take it and run with it if it's something that you enjoy and that you're passionate about. I think that that's sweet. So we'll definitely be your number one supporters and be on the lookout for that as well.
Yeah, and it is, and I mean, talking, writing, different things like that. I'm really interested in it, and honestly, what I'm gonna end up taking my sports management degree from UAV and doing is trying to get into like public relations or media content for some type of sports organization. So I mean, long term dream would be to be for the Kraken, because I think that'd be super tight to just come out of school and get something, even if it's just an internship or whatever. I mean, maybe looking at an internship or low paying job somewhere like 710 ESPN or 950 KJR. I mean,
yeah,
I played for Bucky Jacobson, who does and has done a lot of Mariners postgame reports on 950.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's industry. It's a lot about connections. So I just want to keep doing as much content as I can, producing, writing, speaking, videos, content, everything, to not only, express what I'm passionate about, different things like sports, like you guys, ball, all of that. But also to just get practice for what I kind of want to do for a career in general. So even if it doesn't blow up, like we all know it's going to.
Yeah.
But, it's good experience either way.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. It's cool to have that in your plan. And one question that I've got is, what's it like playing college ball versus high school, or what's maybe one of the biggest challenges you've seen just playing at the next level? I know that you've had quite the career, quite the ups and downs, but what would you say is one of the biggest things that you've realized, or one of the biggest challenges you've faced?
Honestly, having been in a college program, like this being my 5th year in a college program, like that kind of initial like sheen of like, oh, this is so much more work than high school is a little gone for me now at this point. But definitely when I first got to Shoreline, it was like practice, at least in the fall when we didn't have school early on, it was practice from like 9 to 12. And then you go home, then you go to our facility, go hit in the cages, go throw in the cages. And then once we got into weights, it's 5:30 a.m. for weights, working out till 7:30, go to class, hang out for an hour if you got the time after class, and go to practice. And then you come home after practice. If you're going to go home, most of the guys are going to go to the facility again and take more reps, more hacks.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that's the biggest thing definitely, is just the change of workload. I mean, it goes from the after school, like get me to 2:00, get me to 2:00, get me to 2:00 so I can go to baseball practice. It's chilling to like, start 6 practices this week. We have 4 weights this week. Like body's, grinding the last couple of days, those last couple of lifts, you're just kind of forcing yourself through, because that's what you got to do. You got to train harder than anybody else at your position to be the best in any aspect. So I mean, that's definitely a big difference, is that workload. And then at least for me, I didn't necessarily have as big of a problem with it. But it's really independent. So you can show up to your 6 a.m. weights and you can kind of go through the motions, and to the one trainer that's there, the one coach that's there that sees you, do 2 squat reps good, and then, half-ass the rest of them or lazy on the rest of them. Like, no one's going to hold you accountable for that. Like, it's not high school where you see one guy slacking off and the whole team runs, you all go run. Like it's at a certain point, they're not coaches, college coaches especially aren't babysitters. So it's, you chose to continue playing sports after high school. You chose to be a student athlete, which dedicates, I mean, they say student athlete, student first, but like, let's be honest, it's pretty much 70-30, like athletics to school. Like, and it's just the way it is, because every single extra second you have as a student athlete, you're not going to spend it doing your homework early or putting that extra touches on your essay. You're going to spend it going to the cages. You're going to spend it going to the gym, different things like that. So it's really independent. And a lot of times, you don't have the best coaching in the world at whatever program you're at, or you don't have, good cohesion amongst the coaching staff. And so you have to learn a lot yourself. And I think I developed the independence pretty quick, But at first it's a little bit of a culture shock because you spent your life getting like, you know, individual one-on-one coaching constantly from your high school coaches, from your select coaches, you know, everything through your whole career. And then, you know, you show up and you're like, yeah, we have, you know, 2.5, 3 hours of practice time. There's 45 guys on the roster. You better go to the cages to get more reps in because you know, the guy next to you probably is. And if he's not, then that's just a step up you can get.
Yeah, man, that's so cool. And like, like when you get down to it, you know, it's all just continuing to play the sport of baseball that we started in Little League, and you're just going to go for as long as you can. But yeah, there are differences. And so it's cool to give people an understanding of like a real day in the life. Like, yeah, it's 70-30. And, you know, you might see somebody in the classroom, but they've probably been up since 4 a.m. and they're not going to go to bed until 10. And then they're going to do the same thing the next day. And so that's really cool insight. And I think that, I mean, even for people like us, we were friends with a lot of college athletes and stuff, but like, we're not living it. We're not going through it. And so, yeah, definitely a different toll. Well, just to kind of leave you with a last thing, we like to give our guests the opportunity to shout out people. So anybody that you've played with, anybody that you know from home, just give a shout out to anybody that you want to.
All right, we'll get a few shout outs. First one, we'll go to my roommate Marcus. We call him Market. He fell down the stairs about a week ago at our apartment. And fractured his wrist.
No.
So, you know, just get well soon, Market. Next one will go to Zane Zerbrug. He's a dude I played with at Shoreline that actually got drafted by the Brewers a couple years ago. You know, obviously with COVID and stuff, he ain't played that much, but dude's a baller. I ended up lifting with him a few times my last year at Shoreline. It was a really dope opportunity. The dude knows his stuff. I mean, the kid, when I met the kid, he was 6'4", you know, $185. And when he got drafted, he's 6'4", 225, just built.
Wow.
Just a dude. He's a grinder. You know, really happy I got the opportunity to play with him, and definitely a lot of the stuff I learned from him lifting, like I put into what I do now, as well as, you know, my other trainers and coaches and stuff. I guess last shout, we mentioned my old podcast, Ant and Big Red versus the World. So I'll give a shout out to Anthony Vega, my old roommate, my podcast co-host. And we, it's kind of funny because this is pretty much how we did all of our recording, because he was over in the Tri. So it was me and him both on, you know, Skype back then, because failed to step above Zoom. But yeah, it was super funny. We both record audio clips on each side and then like link them up. And I mean, we kind of found the remedy or the method by the end of it.
Yeah, you figure out what works.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I don't know. That's why I think this is super cool. And you know, I've released 48 podcast episodes myself, so it's really fun to be on your guys's, and really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man. Well, we appreciate you just taking a few minutes to jump on here with us, sharing a little bit of your story with everybody, and it's such a cool opportunity to fight through the adversity that you faced. But yeah, we appreciate you, man. We've known you for a long time, and it's always good to catch up. And if you've got any social media handles or anything with your brand that you want to throw out, if you don't have anything yet, that's fine. But if you do, go ahead, let our listeners know, and then we'll sign off.
Well, I mean, currently you can hit me on my TikTok. It's at 6toolplayer, BRJ. Otherwise, most of my other content that's going up now is just on my Instagram, which is Jewel, JEWELLJ24. And, you know, see what's up with BRJ. I appreciate you guys. Thanks so much for having me on.
Yeah. Right. Thanks, on, man. Well, thanks again for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right. Sounds good, guys.